Hello, Pauline. Welcome to our Weave Talk Show. How are you today?
I'm doing fine, Lillian. Thank you so much for inviting me to your show. I feel very, very honored.
It's a pleasure having you. I'm really proud of you. You are my first Cameroonian on board. So, yes, thank you for saying yes. I appreciate it. Maybe we should have done this in French. Maybe next time.
Yeah, probably next time we can think about that.
Yes. But you've been in the UK for so long. I think maybe you've somehow given away some of your French, maybe.
My French is okay, actually, but I think the professional lingo is where I would struggle with. But I still communicate well in French.
Thank you very much. Thank you for your time. I know you are so busy. You help parents raise high achieving children. Yes. How can that be possible in this century? Can we really do that for our kids?
Yes, we certainly can do that for our kids. It's about being intentional, being available, being present, because in our day and age of technology, in a typical family setting, the parents have their tablets or their personal devices, the children are handed personal devices, and that time, family time, is not as it used to be. But with being intentional and actually sitting down to support our children, to help them understand the value of education, to think about the future, it is possible to help parents raise high achieving children. And by God's grace, I am raising high achieving children too. They are not children that are naturally smart and bright, but they are children that are average, that with parental input, they have become high achievers. They are A-star pupils.
Thank you very much. I mean, you are an educator, a speaker,
yes,
author, and parent, and a youth mentor. Why that? I mean, if you give your kids all the time that you need, why do we need to mentor youths in addition to what they've already had?
Fantastic. The reason, as you rightly said, if we do our duty properly, then our youth may not need as much mentoring. But I think even when we mentor our children, or we play the role of a mentor and a coach to our children, I think it's always a plus when children are exposed to the same message coming from someone else. So the reason why I believe youth mentoring is really important, because having worked in education for 13 years, I was a teacher in a secondary school teaching teenagers. I came across a lot of children, both of high ability and of medium and low ability, who were not achieving their potential, who had the wrong mindset, who didn't know why they needed to be in school, who just wanted to be out there, who were a pain in the neck. And what struck me was that if these children had support from home, the right type of support from home, if they had the right mindset, because it's all about mindset, if they had the right mindset about themselves, about their abilities, about where education will take them to, then they would do a lot better. And that is where the passion to start to work with young people and to educate parents on the need for them to actually be intentional in their parenting came about.
Great. And I must confess that no matter how much the parents do at home, there is also the social pressure which adds or kind of modify the way our children grow up. So your role as a youth mentor is absolutely necessary. And without this, the society is we are defeated in advance. So how you as a person, please give us a brief description of who you are and what your mentorship program is all about, please.
Okay. As you rightly said, I am Pauline Limen. I am an educator. I am a speaker. I'm a life coach for children and teenagers. I mentor parents and young people. I'm an academic achievement strategist. So my passion really is to help children achieve their full potential in education. And the reason is because I believe that education still remains the gateway to upward social mobility and opportunities. I am an author as well. I don't know if you're aware of that.
Yes.
Yes, my book is titled Surpass Every Expectation, a proven system for helping parents raise high-achieving children. So how does my mentoring program work? I do one-to-one mentoring with youths, with young people. and I also do group mentoring in school settings, excuse me, in community settings, in faith organizations, wherever young people are gathered. If you give me a group of young people, and I'm good to go. So yes, I do mentoring in the area of personal development, helping children, young people grasp personal development skills of principles early enough in life, the principles of success, leadership, and exam success, just about raising aspiration, really. And I believe that for a lot of us, Lillian, if you will agree, personal development came to us in adulthood. For me especially, it is something I discovered in my 40s.
Yes.
So I believe that if young people develop it a lot earlier, then they will take full responsibility of their present, present priorities, which is their education, and maybe developing other interests and hobbies and things like that. So I think it is really crucial in our day and age to ensure that our young people are equipped with the skill sets and mindsets needed to achieve success in future life.
Great. So what age range are we talking of? When do we start really talking to our kids about personal development? I have a daughter who just turned 6, and sometimes when I talk to her and she's like, what does that mean? What does that mean? And if you explain, it's good because we get into a conversation, but she keeps everything. Everything you tell her, she keeps it. She has a very good memory, but I don't know at what stage is she going to lose this kind of the will to learn or to listen to me. So what age do we start with personal development?
I think from birth.
Amen.
From birth. So what we do with younger children is it's kind of a bit tricky to put the child down and sit them down and talk to them.
No.
Things like when a child makes a mistake, and the way we respond to them passes on the message to the child that mommy thinks making a mistake is bad. Mommy think making a mistake means I am dumb. Mommy think making a mistake thinks this or that. But when a child makes a mistake and you sit down with them and we think about what happened, why did it happen, and what can you do in the next time? So we kind of getting those personal development principles ingrained in them very early without formally teaching them in a workshop setting. So it's about the little things we do every day. And a lot of it has got to do with us too as parents. Children model us. Children look at us. We are our children's number one role model because they spend a lot more time with us at home. So how do we talk? What are the conversations that come out of our mouths? Are we negative? How do we feel depressed when we fail? Or do we look for, okay, I made a mistake today here. I'm very open when it comes to communicating with my children. So I acknowledge I've made a mistake, but this is what I learned from it. And this is what I'm going to do next time. So it's about the practical things we do with our children, looking at identifying teachable moments where we can actually teach these lessons when they're very, very young. So a child grows up knowing that mommy doesn't shout at me or is not mad at me or is not cross with me when I make a mistake. But mommy has taught me that when I make a mistake, I need to reflect on why I made a mistake and what I can do differently next time.
Yes, that's really a great point. However, you and I have that education and facility to raise kids this way, and our kids, they challenge us. But in the context of Africa, let's face it, okay, Africa is developing, people are bringing up their kids in a different way. But still, the majority of people do not give kids the liberty to express themselves. So I have a feeling that looking at you, looking at myself, and talking to others, there's so many things that are connected, I was talking to a friend yesterday and she said, oh, my daughter is Pani, she's not having a birthday party. And I looked at her, the first thing that came out from my mouth was, really? And she burst into laughter. She said, Lillian, it's amazing how one sign or word can just come out of our mouth and we automatically connect. Because back at home, we can't even challenge our own parents.
Yeah.
And personally, I'm this strange or maybe mad because I was hand to hand with my dad. Like, why? And this is not something which is common in Africa.
Mm-hmm.
How there is a good side of this kind of education, and the good side of you and I, our method of education is also good. So where is the middle between this two
Yes.
kinds of system?
Yeah, I think the middle ground is one of the, as you rightly said, that's, growing up within the African family setting, the child doesn't seem to have a voice, or the child can't express themselves. Now, there is nothing wrong with a child saying what they feel. We talk about how do you say it? It's about how you say it. And
Yes,
by
but at home you don't even get to say it. It's disrespect.
it is, yeah.
Not, but it's lack of respect. You don't even you don't even think of it. You just listen and then you walk away.
Yes, yes. I think we need to, as Africans, kind of come to the realization that things have changed, and the impact of that way of parenting on our children is not very positive. So we need to find a middle ground. Yes, we still need respect. Respect is very important, but we need to give them the opportunity to say what they have to say. And then we can then get into a conversation with them that will lead them into, lead us to the outcomes that we're looking for. So I think as African parents, especially, even those here really, but
Yes.
mostly those in Africa, that we need to start to think about our parenting styles. Is it really working for us? Because, especially in this part of the world, you don't communicate with your child, you're losing them when they become teenagers, very, very likely.
Yes.
So it's important to keep that communication going, to keep that relationship with your child going, so that you can be, as a parent, their greatest source of influence. It's important to maintain that communication.
That's true. So what led you into this mentoring program? How did you find yourself?
You mean for youths or for in terms of, okay, not for parents?
No, not for parents yet. For the youth, how did you find yourself?
Okay, I started when I was working as a teacher. Yes. After realizing that there were other factors affecting pupils' achievement apart from their ability or their intelligence, as we call it, I felt for a lot of the children, it wasn't ability really. It was just the fact that they didn't have the right mindset. They didn't have the motivation. There was a sense of apathy. They were not interested whatsoever. And so I felt if these other issues were addressed, then we would more likely have students that are ready to put in some effort into their schoolwork. And so I started doing some work with the students that I taught. I did one-to-one with a lot of them, and I saw the impact. So that is how I kind of thought, well, this is something that I really want to be doing.
Great. Thank God for you. The African woman does an amazing job in parenting. Sweet mothers, there is nothing we can compare to them. She does such an amazing job that she tends to forget herself. Mm-hmm. How does her parenting role benefit her? And how can the African woman start learning to prepare herself so she can grow and be happy once her children are out of the family nest? Because this is a problem. I must confess, from time to time when I discuss with my mom and I say, it's like you parents, you are African parents, you use your children as your insurance. It's like they put all the effort in it and they expect. Like it's not, it's like when you pay every month for your insurance and you expect that if you have a trouble with your house, with your car, your insurance, your liability should cover you. So I have the feeling that we, the children, are liabilities of our parents, because let's face it, they have so many of us, and if one doesn't chip in, the other one will chip in. So how does the African woman be just the mother that she can be, yet be ready to grow and be happy once the children are gone?
Mm-hmm. You've said something very important there, Lillian, about how African women, our African parents view parenting. They believe that by investing into your child, you're investing into your retirement plan, really, kind of. Yes. Well, I believe that, as African women, we should parent our children because we want a good outcome for them rather than. So I think the mindset really should change. You know, I know that for us as African women, the joy and the pride of a mother is when your child turns out well. So I think that's the good aspect. Yes, as Africans, we know that every parent wants their child to be better than them, to achieve more than that. And I think that is very positive for us because working within this environment, I see that that is something that is not quite there, especially for the working class communities. So I think that is a good side to it. But in parenting our children, I think as an African woman, it's important for them to start to think about, you know, about themselves, because we as women tend to want to take care of everyone else, of our husbands, our homes, our children, our friends, and then we tend to be at the bottom of the ladder. So I think as African women, it is important to start to value us, to start to dig deep into our inner selves and kind of bring out, what is my passion? What was I created for? If I leave this earth today, what would I say I have done to someone else apart from my children? So as we start to develop those inner passion, the inner calling of God upon our lives and start to nurture it. You know, when you have something that you do that really keeps you going, it increases your joy level.
Exactly.
If you're doing something that is rewarding, you think you're impacting someone else's life. For me, when I go give a talk, you know, and I get the emails coming back, I get the text messages coming back, I get the feedback and the results coming back 1 or 2 years later, it brings joy to me. I know I'm impacting generations. And I think when my children have left home, I'll have more time to even do more and more than this. I think it's really important for us as African women to start to develop interest, to start to develop hobbies that we will kind of turn to when the kids have left home.
Yes, because when the kids have left home, we notice that women just tend to go old, you know, and there is really nothing more to give, or there isn't this joy that they used to have when they had their kids. Them. So yeah, there is an inner work to be done, but also the culture plays a role here, you know. And how can we start enlightening women back home that there is something called their inner joy, which is not their children?
Yes, you're doing it already. So organizations like yours and all other organizations that empower women are doing a really great job at helping women start to see that there is more to life than just raising up your children and then get them, you know, hand them over to their husbands. Yeah. So when you've handed them over to their husbands, what do you do with yourself? So organizations like yourself that are raising awareness of this kind of thing, I think will do the trick. And I think I do quite have hope, really, because with social media, yes, people from Africa, from all over the world can kind of see what other women are doing. When I met you, I never knew you were Cameroonian, but when I met you through one other group in which I was quite impressed by your contribution in that group. And that is what led me to connect with you, to send you a friend request, and to see what you do, go on to your website to actually see what you do. So I think social media is powerful. It shows women all around the world role models. When I know that Lillian is doing this, I know that this other person is doing this and that. They are having an impact. They are bold. They're coming out of that African cultural norm. Then we get encouraged to do the same. So I think that is a powerful tool, social media.
I'm so happy you brought this point up without even you knowing, because we are working on a special project called Social Media for the African Woman. I think this is the key of today's century. Technology is the key of today's century. And this is an opportunity that we should really use to make a difference in whatever area of our life.
Absolutely.
In Africa, we have all the mobile phones, we have internet connection. All we need is just some little ideas on how to just change our lives, transform our lives. So I'm happy for people like you. Thank you so much. What are some of the struggles that you did encounter when you started this journey? Yes, of course. I can imagine you, if you're in front of my mom trying to coach her to be a better parent, she's going to tell, oh, I can imagine the struggle you will. So what are some of the struggles you encountered?
I would acknowledge, Lillian, that the struggle wasn't really with the parents. The most important struggle was with me, my self-limiting beliefs.
Oh, good.
I didn't think, what have I got to teach people anyway? Why should they listen to me? Am I qualified enough, to be able to teach parents? Why should they listen to me? I think the other people are doing it that are better than me. Other people are doing it that are more qualified. They've got doctorates, compared to me. So I had all of that, those limiting beliefs. I also had fear of what people would say. One of my big fears was the fear of actually showing up. I used to be a very private person. I don't want to be on social media. I don't want to be all over the place, seen, in all over the world. So that was a very big fear for me, because obviously as you start to help people, then people will start to know you. So that was a fear. And also how to go about it. I didn't have the confidence in taking my concept, my passion from grassroots to where I wanted it to be able to reach, really. So those were some of the struggles. I didn't really, once those struggles were dealt with, especially the mindset struggles were dealt with, actually reaching out to parents wasn't a big problem.
Good. I'm glad to hear that. And I must tell you this. Marie Folio once said that you and only you have a special gift that the world needs.
Yes.
Please, no matter what limiting belief you have, promise me you will continue.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Definitely.
You have the special, you can have 50 people doing the same job, doing exactly the same thing you're doing right now, mentoring youth and parents, but your own words, your own insight and your experience. You belong to 2 continents. You have a huge amount of information, knowledge, and love in you that makes you unique. Don't give
up. Thank you. Good to hear that.
Yes. I've been watching you for a while now, and please don't give up. I promise you, you are doing an amazing job.
Thank you, Lillian.
So what are some of the lessons you've learned from this experience?
I've learned lots of lessons because, as I said before, I started from square zero. I lacked confidence in myself in all areas. I lacked belief in myself. So there are lots of lessons that I have learned along the way. The very first lesson that I have learned is the power of personal development.
Yes.
And we have within us everything that we need to become anything or to achieve anything. And that if you feel that you don't have some of the skills and some of the knowledge, then you need to take personal initiative to actually learn. Thank God again, today we are in an era of technology where there is so much information on the internet. There's a lot of free training out there. So there is no barrier really to learning. I've come to learn that education is a lifelong thing, lifelong journey. It doesn't stop when you have the formal qualifications when you leave school. So that was the very first one. And it was a big one for me because that helped me to be able to boost my confidence and do the things I'm able to do today. Now, the other lesson I learned is the power of using coaches and mentors. Yes. I've learned that they shorten your journey to where you're going. If you're doing it alone, you may not last. I think someone said if you go to the top alone, then you come down very fast. But if you have mentors, coaches, you join mastermind groups where we learn from each other and support each other, then we are likely to go to the top and stay there. So that was the second thing. The third thing that I learned was who you surround yourself with.
Yes.
Who are your friends?
Yes.
Because if the people you surround yourself with do not believe in you, like when I started doing what I'm doing, a lot of people knew me as a shy person, as a quiet person, as a private person, did not fully understand what I was doing. So I didn't get a lot of encouragement. So I got to understand that on the journey to pursuing your purpose, there are times when you're going to be lonely. So it's important to know to surround yourself with people who believe in you, people who see things in you that you can't see. That is really bad. Those are some of the lessons that I learned.
And they are great ones. Thank you for sharing with us. What are some of the mistakes that the African women are making while parenting, and how does these mistakes explain why they are behind?
Okay, that's a very good one. Now, the first thing is about intentionality.
Yeah.
The way in which our African families are set up, especially in Africa, is such that parents are not very hands-on. There are either house helps, there are homes full of relatives, or friends that are just living with the family. And as they live with the family, they get involved in duties that are meant to be parental duties. So you have a driver taking the kids to school, you have a house help, getting the kids up, getting them ready, giving them breakfast. So parents are not very, very hands-on. And if you're not hands-on, how can you understand your child? How can you identify issues that you need to resolve really quickly in your child if the house is full of so many other people? So I think the first thing is about not being intentional about what our role as parents are in Africa. A lot of us, someone says, this preacher said something that really, was very, very pertinent. He says that when you want to become a medical doctor, a lawyer, you go to university and study because you want to do it well. And when you become a parent, you don't study. You don't know what your role as a parent is. You don't understand the phases or the stages of a child's development. You don't understand the little changes or the challenges, the tantrums, the wide questions that children ask. Or when they get to teenage phase, you don't understand some of the hormonal changes and their effects on your teenager. So intentional parenting is about learning, reading, listening to podcasts and trainings all on the internet that will prepare you to become a better parent. And being intentional is also about having a vision for what outcome you want for your child. Do you want to raise a leader? It's one of the things that I'm going to be in 2017, be kind of focusing on, really encouraging us to raise our children and kind of encourage and help them develop leadership skills. So if you want a child to be raised as a leader, you don't raise them like a follower. You guys what I mean?
Yes.
So what are the things you put into that child? What are the opportunities and the responsibilities you give them that will help that leadership skill kind of come out, or leadership abilities come out in them? So it's about not having a clear vision for our children. And I think for a lot of parents, a lot of mothers, we tend to parent the way we were parented.
Yes.
The things that our parents did, the way we saw our parents parenting us,
yes,
we tend to parent our children in that kind of way. And obviously the outcome might be more or less like the outcome that we've got, or maybe worse, because those methods don't quite work in today's generation. And I think that the impact of it on the African woman, as you said, is that the reason why African women are backward? I would say not necessarily. In some ways, yes, because eventually we have children growing up as adults who lack self-confidence, as I did, who lack a sense of self-belief, as I did, who lack basic or vital life skills. Okay? So intentional parenting would ensure that you're equipping your children with all these before they become adults. Because that is what adolescence is, a period where a child is developing into an adult. And an adult is a responsible person who is able to have, the skills they need to manage life. So during that phase, what are we doing? So if we don't do the things we are meant to do during that phase, then we end up with adults who lack a full set of skills. And, you are right that in one way, it might make the woman a bit backward unless they kind of come to an awareness of the need for personal development, and personal empowerment, which is, my case. I don't know about yours, but it definitely has been my case. But I think the other thing that really plays an important role in the African women being backwards, as you say, is culture. Culture is really, really important, because growing up in Africa as an African girl, our culture tells us subconsciously puts in us
Yes.
certain aspects or ideas about who a woman should be,
Yes.
her role in the family, her role in society. She's not supposed to be authoritative. She shouldn't take on certain leadership roles, and some of the certain careers are female type of careers and things like that. So I think culture plays a very, very important role. But I believe that things are starting to change thanks to social media. Again, women are starting to see that African women in the diaspora are doing things that maybe women in Africa are not yet doing, or they're starting to do. A lot more are starting to do it. So I think with social media, there is hope that things will definitely change.
I think so too. And I must add to this parenting idea. In Africa, they raise up to affront problems, to really be responsible when problems are there. It's like we have this kind of reflex. Whenever there is trouble, we can handle it. If I take an African child and a European, just take my children, and the same age, the response that they have when there is trouble is so different.
Mm-hmm.
And I have a feeling because we were raised to always be on alert.
Yes.
But today there is not that those problems, that there is some kind of a gap between shall I not, and whenever there is one slight problem, which is not really a problem, we go like full flesh and ready to really tackle the problem. So I feel it's a good thing. We have a lot of stamina in so many ways.
Resilience.
Yes, we're so resilient in so many ways, but it's like we are always on alert. And this, we need, as you said, personal development. We need to come to a stage to realize that, nothing is happening here.
Yeah.
So thank you for sharing, really making the personal development part of your work so clear to us today. It's really important that we really investigate, talk to ourselves, body language, your reaction, and your feedback. What is it that you're putting out there to the world? It's a lot more than just getting dressed and showing up.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So what is your hope for the African woman in general, be it in business, be it in marriage, in general? What is your hope for the African woman?
I have a lot of hope for the African woman. I believe that we are on a journey. And for some, it's going to be slower than for others. Mm-hmm. But I think that as women, we're going to be the ones to empower each other. So we need organizations, I believe organizations like yours and all the other organizations empowering women working abroad, we should think about ways of going to Africa and actually doing work there, because we do a lot of great things at this end. But if we kind of get those, reach out to those back home, there will be definitely changes. But I think that there is hope.
Good.
There is hope.
Good. Do you think that the African woman is receptive to this, to whatever is being brought to her by us? Do you think they're receptive?
Right. I would say that amongst the crowd, there will be some that would be receptive, but I would say that the rate will be different for different people, because it's about changing your mindset. Mm-hmm. It's about getting somebody to start to do something new, or to start to think of herself in a different way. For some people, they'll pick it up really quickly. For others, it's going to be a process. But it's about just keeping at it. If you go organize a conference in Cameroon or in Nigeria, for example, there are people who take on, what the ideas that will be presented to them in that conference. And there are others who will not necessarily take on those ideas, but we just need to keep doing the work we're doing.
That's good. That's true. So please give us one of your favorite quotes that has some kind of influence your decision in business.
Yes. One of my favorite quotes is from by Les Brown, and it says, "Do not let someone's opinion of you become your reality." And that was very important for me, because as I said before, when I mentioned the obstacles and challenges, I had very low self-esteem. I was too worried about what people would say. I was bothered about stepping out, because people might say this and people might say that. So when I came across this quote, it really struck something in my mind about who cares? If people think you're not good enough, just go ahead and do what you believe you should be doing.
Amen.
But don't rather sit down and then satisfy their thoughts about you.
Yes.
So that was a very good one for me, and I do share it with my children. I remind them all the time, because working with young people too, one of the challenges is young people, especially teenagers, they want approval from their friends. Yes, and the things that we as parents say to them mean so much, and the things that the teachers say to them mean so much. A teenager's day will be ruined just by someone telling them they don't look good. Yes. So it's a message I pass on to them. It doesn't matter what people think about you. Go ahead and do the things you believe you should be doing.
Amen. Thank you so much, Pauline. I really appreciate you. And talking to you today has really helped me to really focus on my children. I promise you to do more on their personal development. Okay, so that will be done. But through today's discussion, my quote for you, for me, and for other women listening to this podcast or to this talk show is from Lisa Nichols, which says, "I am my rescue."
Wow.
Nobody else is.
Wow.
I am my rescue, nobody else is.
That's powerful.
It is time for us as women to really take our lives in our own hands, especially women in Africa.
Yeah.
It's not enough to be a mother, a wife, a sister, and a friend. We must learn. We must rescue our own selves to be who we are and to live the life that we dream for ourselves, rather than expecting from other people.
Yeah, true.
So I would like to close this discussion with this quote from Lisa Nichols: "I am my rescue and nobody else." Thank you so much, Pauline, for your time. Keep doing the great job you're doing out there. You're amazing. And this AWIF podcast is only discussions with extraordinary people like you. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much for inviting me, Lillian. It's my pleasure.
Thank you. Have a great day.
And you too.
Okay, bye.
Bye-bye.